is the weather forecast.
You should see what it's like in Alberta.
Smoke. That's pretty much it, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Matt, shut the hell up.
Oh, it's safe up here. You guys just come up and hang out.
Yeah.
I wish we could, man.
We're fairly clear over here in Wisconsin.
But you guys don't want us right now.
Although I'm eating potato salad, so I'm going to not be clear after a while.
Yeah, I guess so.
The other weird thing about it is something with the smoke covering the sky. It's cold. Like the temperatures drop.
It is, yeah.
I had to put on a jacket earlier, and I've been running around in my underwear for weeks. Anyway.
Well, we didn't really. That's the visual I really didn't want to see, but
yeah. But I'm going to go and take off the. I'm going to go and take off our hold screen for right now because I'm sure our female viewers are excited about that site right now. Being that Jeremy right now looks a little like Warden Kanan with that goatee. Hey everybody, how you guys doing out there? I'm Carlos A.S. Lysing.
Very good.
I'm the DM of the first Betrayal campaign. Down there, you guys can see we have a full house tonight. All my players are here. We got David Aho over there in the corner, Jeremy Brazil, Patrick Hope, Matthew Lazinski, and Magnus Miller-Wilson on our other corner. Hey, thanks for joining us, Wiley Hobbit. We just went online. Thanks for supporting us, brother. I appreciate it. We were just talking a little bit about what's going on right now around America. And around with the West Coast. And I'm reminded, since we're playing the World of Greyhawk, it reminds me a little bit of the Reign of Colorless Fire, what you're talking about out there. It destroyed the Sul Empire, man. That's, thanks, Larry, we really appreciate it. It's very, it's almost of biblical proportion what's going on out there, man. I can only imagine what it was like for those ancient Sul now thinking about it, your condition out there, seeing the entire sky going orange and the entire empire beginning to burn to ash. It's crazy.
If by the empire you mean downtown Portland, then.
I mean downtown Portland and apparently most of California too. I wonder, is Washington State as bad right now, guys?
Washington's also screwed. And so is British Columbia. Actually, everybody's on fire right now.
Holy
It's
moly.
been a bad year.
Well, over here in Ohio right now, it's a gloomy 65 degrees outside.
Yeah, same in Minnesota.
Yeah, and all of my players are welcome to come to Ohio here and visit me in Cleveland to enjoy our gloomy weather. It's great to see everybody again tonight. We have a fun-filled adventures planned for the entire. Hey, thanks, Hydrexus. I'm looking right at you. Thanks so much, man. I'm looking at everybody right now, so it's great to. We got a lot of fun-filled stuff tonight. Before I go any further, I want to address something that happened last week. We had one of our players down here, Matthew Lazinski, and his crew got a chance to play in one of the Patreon levels games. Him and his whole crew decided that they wanted to buy a one-shot. We ran a 5-hour session for him called the Steel Spires. If you guys want to catch it on YouTube, you can. Matthew, did you have fun with it?
Dude, it was fire.
You and your crew liked it? That's good, man.
Yeah, I was happy that everybody enjoyed it.
I was too, man. You never know when you're dealing with new players, as I told you before, guys that are new to your game. So it's kind of one of those, you get a little bit of stress. So it was really a pleasure to meet your friends and have a chance to run for them. And I just want to let everybody else out there know that if you want to sign up for the Patreon and all you guys are interested in is running a game, playing a game, that it's still available out there. So go ahead and check it out, and maybe you guys you'll find something you like.
I will say that hang on, I'm loading.
Okay.
I'm loading Twitch. I will say that campaign was not campaign, but whatever, that mission. I got to watch probably, I don't know, 80-85% of it. I had it loaded, but I was kind of with family, so I kept running back to my headphones. But yeah, that game was ridiculous. I mean, it was one of my favorites that I've seen in recent times, and it was also cool. I hate to say this because I love you guys, but it was cool to see some other players, because I'm always seeing these clowns, right? So it was cool to see some other people react to the Castle Entertainment model and kind of go, do some of those.
I just remember my favorite part, Jeremy, was when they were all in that fight and the ground started to shake, and they kind of all knew it was happening. and they came around the corner. I moved the token for the hill giant around the corner and see the looks on everybody's faces down there. I saw some of the looks. It was great.
When I was ready to go, I charged at that thing with 3 hit points.
I know, with a druid on your back too.
I was impressed by everybody's plays that night because not only they were playing well individually, but they were playing well as a group. Now I know most of those clowns, and I know you guys play together, so you don't get that much. But it was cool to see them problem solve because we got our own thing going here with the first Betrayal. We kind of problem solve stuff together, whatever. So that was a super cool game, man. I want to go back and skip through to get the stuff that I didn't see because I didn't see the beginning of that fight. I had walked away, and then when I came back, it was lightning bolt time.
Oh yeah.
And the screen lit up, and I'm like, dude, what the hell did I was only gone a couple of minutes. Jesus.
I remember Magnus was part of the crew that played a play test for from Dark Rose's Blackthorns Grow.
Yeah.
And there was a lightning bolt that got let off in that as well. And I think if anybody here who has never seen lightning strike at a close range, sometimes it's easy to underestimate the raw power involved in a lightning strike. And I remember when I was running that game for those guys in there, I saw everybody, their reactions to the way I was describing the lightning bolt spell. And I could see that everyone was thinking to themselves, oh my god, that thing is nasty. Well, yeah, a lightning bolt, is pretty destructive.
I will say I was a little bit pissy after watching that game because I had tried to play one of the Oriental Adventures animal shifters that hit
NGO.
Yeah. And you told me no, so now I'm coming full circle and I'm dropping bombs on my next character submission.
Well, the Oriental Adventures characters, it's funny you should mention that. There was a huge controversy in the OSR not long ago about Oriental Adventures. Yeah. And I had Oriental Adventures tabbed as one of the things I was going to touch on as far as our Patreon rewards go. And I held off. I wanted to see how it shook out. I wanted to see how everybody was responding to it. And so far, it seems to me that even though there was an initial blowback on it, I think that for the most part, people tend to go into two camps with it. It's either, yeah, this is horrible stuff and it should be not part of the game, or it was treated with respect and it should be part of the game. You can use it if you want to, you use it if you don't. But I bring a certain third element into it, in which I'm half Asian myself. And so when I bring that up and I start talking about it, people all of a sudden are like, oh, yeah, well, I guess you're allowed.
Yeah, he's half Asian and full Mexican. So
thanks. That's really nice, Jeremy. That's really nice. No, seriously. When I bring that up in terms of Oriental Adventures, everybody kind of the blood pressure goes down a little bit about it because it's sort of like it's part of my heritage, and if I don't have a problem with it, I guess maybe we shouldn't either.
Well, I don't think any of the problems with it were about it being Japanophile, was it? It was more that it was not interfacing well with the core rules.
I think a lot of people, the people that have a problem with it, fall into two camps. Either they feel it's a racial kind of thing. It's negative. It reinforces negative racial stereotypes. Where some people feel that it doesn't interface with the rules well enough. I remember reading it as a young man. I picked it up, I read it, and I was like, this is kind of confusing because I'm not sure what kind of culture they're trying to portray here. But then I thought about it a little bit. I was like, oh, that's right. This is a fantasy game. They're not really trying to portray any culture. Yeah. That's the part that I think Oriental Adventures helped me with that, and that's sort of probably why I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I was like, okay, well, cool. If somebody liked Asian culture enough, they wanted to represent it in the game. That's awesome, man. Maybe they like my culture. Sweet. So,
well, that would be like getting pissy about the Tove kind of representing all those African countries in the Aboriginal.
And what I'm doing right now, it's funny you should mention that too, because I'm doing a lot with Ullman right now. Okay, because I'm writing a game called Reflections from a Smoking Mirror that's going to be played on the virtual Greyhawk Con, and
Cool.
and I'm writing it, and I'm thinking to myself, am I going to run into an issue with this? And then I thought to myself, you know what? Just go with what you know, man. Just go with what you know. You're portraying a fictitious world. Do as you will. And I after that, I didn't have any kind of issue with it. But yeah, I just I know that that's out there, but you can more or less. I guess what I'm trying to say is expect to see the Oriental Adventure stuff reflected here in a couple months. I'm going to be touching on that. In fact, I have the Henji Yokai Wujen in that game. He's one of the NPCs, I believe, player characters of the month.
So more gnomish monks.
No gnomish monks right now. That the gnomish monk cycle is complete. The cycles that I'm doing right now are Sanguine Labyrinth is a trilogy that I'm doing right now. The newest Slave Lord stuff that Magnus got a chance to play in is another one. Jeremy and Patrick played in Sanguine Labyrinth, and you can see the second chapter of that coming next year early. Probably Q1.
Good. I'm watching that, man. I am on you about that.
Actually, Patrick, I'm hoping that you'll play in it. I'm going to try and get everybody that played in that game to play in the second one that played it at Gamehole. I'm going to extend offers to those guys to see if we can get them online to play test it.
You already know my answer to that question.
Oh, I know, man.
It's a team effort. It's a team effort, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to have to hurt you, so...
Yeah, you guys did such a good job in the first one. I want to see you guys have an opportunity to play it and see it through.
That's got to be my favorite casl module right now.
I'm going to say that it's probably the one that's been most people have responded most favorably to is Sanguine Labyrinth that's in the wild. However, that being said, Magnus, I got a lot of really good positive feedback about from Dark Roses, Black Thorns Grow, and I have a feeling that the one I just play tested, here's the alpha copy of that, which is the To the City of the Elder Gods. That thing is got a lot of really good responses. The crew on the West Coast, my friends Jason and Todd and Keith, and they really enjoyed that one a lot. And I saying this is going to lose me some points in terms of in geek cred, and David Aho may actually just turn the stream off when I say this, but I'm going to be honest right now. Lovecraft is not my jam. It is not the thing that I am most steeped in as far as literature goes.
It isn't for everybody. It's odd.
Well, it's not that not that. It's just I never read a whole lot of it, but I did a really deep dive.
I have an audiobook version of it that's amazing.
Yeah, I did a deep dive into it right before I started writing this.
Okay.
And I did a lot of whether it be color out of shape or whether it be the actual
mind blowing though.
Oh yeah.
But some of it's crap.
Well, what I find about it is I appreciate about it is it makes me the girl Grendelwolf's out there in the check going air and see. Well, the thing I found out about it that I think is really cool is that with Lovecraft, all the rules are gone. There are no rules anymore. You kind of anything that you thought you knew about monster creation or abilities or stuff like that, it is absolutely anything is on the table. So
let me interject something here with as far as that goes. I mean, Lovecraft, like I said, is some people can take it, some people don't like it.
Yeah,
there are actually two different styles that he has. One's almost like a poetic dream style, and one's more of a story line prose type of thing with your old school Victorian type of thing.
Right.
But even if you don't like it, it's got some very interesting little things in some of the stories where you could use it, not necessarily in Lovecraftian style, but you can use it as a jump-off point for anything else that you're doing in the gaming world. Like
David, I totally agree. There's like snippets.
There, the one
here and there that you can grab and put into things.
Right. There's two of them. One is I think it's the Outsider or whatever. And then there's the biggest one I like is the house on the or High Heel in the Mist. I can't remember the exact.
Well, the one that was really the most influential to me when I was writing was called Dweller on the Threshold. But
that too.
That being said, thank you guys for allowing me to pontificate and talk right now, because I think my voice is now in shape to actually begin the game. Are you guys ready for tonight's game?
Well, what do you mean? We have been ready for.
Yeah, I know. I was telling everybody that showed up early. I had a late start today, and I haven't gotten a chance to throw the voice into gear yet. So now I think I'm good to go.
So you weren't doing the Ozzy Osbourne, vocal.
Actually, in the background while you guys been doing this, I keep muting and I keep doing vocal exercises. Jeremy was telling me one time when he was out here about the value of a vocal exercise. I remember we were talking about singing, and I can't sing to save my life, so I just thought it would be. I was trying to do a couple things here. So anyway, we're going to begin our game right now with. I'm going to do a very quick jump over to the guys that are over in Niflheim on the island, and then I'm going to go right away from there to Patrick. But I want to drop over Niflheim just for a moment. Gentlemen, you've spent a month on the island of Niflheim. And for those of you who are tuning into our show and haven't had a chance to see what's going on there, our players Arion, Kalaya, Brixton, and John Paul have been on the island of Niflheim, which is right over at the edge of the snow and ice barbarian lands. And the reason that they're doing that is there's a particular trainer that is over there. It's very hard to find illusionists on this part of the world, but there's one that lives on that island there by the name of the Chimera. And the Chimera is a very unusual creature, as Brixton has found out. She claims to actually be a mirror person. She's a reflection that has been brought to life by her quote-unquote father, who is apparently one of these mysterious men called a Mirror Master of Lynn. For those of you who are familiar with the background of Greyhawk, you may or may not know what I'm talking about there, but needless to say, her form is completely mutable and changeable. That's why she appears differently all the time. And illusion magic is sort of a natural part of her life. Well, while the others were also training, there were people that she had adventured with her whole life that were descending upon the island and teaching them how to conduct themselves. Well, after a month's training, yeah, exactly, Greyhawk Mike. That's going deep into the Rob Kuntz stuff there. But anyway, all of you guys have been there for about a month. You guys have disseminated the magical items. All of you have officially gained in level. All of you are now at 5th level as we speak. All right.
All right.
So spells that are available to you there are now available to you. Brixton, we've talked about the spells that you have learned off of your spell list. So those are all available to you. At the end of about a month of training there, the last week, because it's a 5-week training, your 5th level, the last week of your training has come. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do for your training before I send you off on your way? I'll start with John Paul because I think Arion has something in specific, so I'm going to go right to left in here. John Paul, is there anything that you want to accomplish with your training? Now that your father has left, Tor/Cord has left the island.
Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay. Go ahead.
I want to spend some time learning from the vampire.
What would you like to learn?
I don't know.
Okay.
Something that's like completely strange and beyond the realm of normal. Maybe not mind control, but maybe some sort of like intimidating stare or something weird like that might be sort of strangely supernatural outside the normal barbarian kit.
Okay. Brixton, is there anything you would like to learn? Or anything you would like to accomplish before you leave the island of Niflheim?
I don't think so.
Okay. Arion?
in that part of the training, I was thinking that possibly during the training, some of the spells that I would learn, I was using. So I wanted to use that in something that I'm sending you now I can talk on your.
You need the vocal warm-ups too.
What's that?
You need the vocal warm-ups too.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, I wanted to use like a consecrate thing, which is the later spell progression. I also wanted to maybe do a portent or an augury. You know, I think I talked to you before, and it seems like it's only like within the augury only shows up within a couple days.
Right.
But I wanted to get an idea of where our other lost comrades were from the southern part of Radek by using Merrick's hammer or Merrick's axe.
Okay. I will get to the resolution of all those things after I go over to Patrick.
Okay. I just, like I said, I just sent you 2 PDFs, and I have presented these to my teachers.
Okay. Patrick, when we last left your character, much had happened because we're going to move over to Agrias before we do anything.
Okay.
Actually, wait, whoa. Before we move over there, Kalaya, I almost forgot, you're on that island too, and there is something very important that we have to discuss about you.
Right.
At any point in time, what are you going to do with respect to your sister? Are you going to let her know what is going on? Are you going to kill her?
I'm going to let her know.
We will discuss that, too, when we move back to the island.
Yes, sir.
Kalaya, we're moving over now to Agrias.
Okay.
And Agrias, as you remember, much had happened. In the way that the plane of shadow is a symbology of what happens on Earth, the two are inexorably intertwined. One is one where one waxes great, the other is small, and where the other is small, the other waxes great. You find yourself in the Citadel of Shadows. When everything is said and done, reborn. Your flesh is as pale as snow, just like the prismatic chrysanthemums. Your hair is a stark white now. Even your blade, as you look at it up and down, it's now a reflection of what it... Before it was that pure, mithril, beautiful steel. Now it's a black as shadow, the blade up and down its length. It, too, has been transformed, being that it is a part of your soul, being it is a part of what you do. You're so inexorably entwined. You are your normal age, as is the prismatic chrysanthemum. She is now older. She is who she is meant to be always. But something very interesting has happened as you appear on the Earth. You're reborn right in the middle of the Citadel on that ground floor, and slithering around in the back of your mind, you hear these whispers, these dark, tenderly whispers, one being the past and one being the future. You see, it's almost as if by being reborn, and now you understand exactly what she goes through. The dragons are always talking to you. They're always telling you about the past and the future. They're always informing you about what will happen, what could happen, what did happen, what didn't happen. All these strange possibilities are always melding around inside of your head. And as a result of that, Agrias, you're going to have the ability, you're going to have 2 abilities. Number 1, once per day, you're going to be able to draw on that ability to foretell what is about to happen. Or, once per day, you can look at something until it's passed.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
for example, if you're in a fight with somebody, and I'm telling you they're about to swing at you, you can use you might be able to tell your future and say, well, I'm going to tell the future right now and know where they're going to attack and undo their attack. Or you might be able to say, okay, there's a helmet on the ground. Well, I'm going to pick it up until it's passed. These kind of things. So it's almost like an object reading kind of ability.
Okay.
But there's more to it than that. From now on, your training cost and your training length is going to be shortened because of your inexorable tie to shadow.
Okay.
So the ability for you to progress in level is going to be much quicker. Now, with that being said, you're in the middle of the Citadel of Shadows. You are aware that the Prismatic Chrysanthemum is in the tower with you, Alta Teresa, who is, in some weird way, you were her trainer, just as she was yours. You are aware, because of those whispers in your ear, that the symbology that brought you back to the world was only a fraction of time. In truth, you lived an entire lifetime on the plane of shadows, running, constantly training her, teaching her, the whole time. So, a lifetime was spent there that you didn't experience. A lifetime was spent here that you didn't experience. What would you like to do now that you're back on Earth? Your first actions.
I would like to walk around the Citadel.
Okay.
With her. Is she awake yet?
Yeah, actually, when you find her, she's down in the garden. And she's over there, and she's just kind of looking around at all the flowers. The hummingbirds are buzzing around. And when you look at them, now everything looks different to you, Kalaya. Or I should say, Agrias. Everything looks different to you. You see things in a way you never did before. For example, when you see things, it's almost as if right behind it, their shadow seems to stand out more to you. It's almost as if all the colors that they have are more vibrant to you. Life, the whole experience of life has changed. And in terms of that, your infravision is actually going to work in a little bit different of a way as you're going to see going forward. But she's in there, and she's just kind of looking at it, all of it. And as you open the door, she turns over in her shoulder, and she smiles at you. She says, "Hello, Grias. How are you doing?"
I am well. Are you okay?
"I feel good." And she nods and smiles over at you. "Thanks, of course, to you. I always wondered exactly how it happened. You see, for me, history is an open book for the most part, except for my own. I've never been able to turn around and see my own shadow." She traces an edge of one of the flowers that's there. "Now I know." She looks over at you.
The dragons helped, and I give her a wink.
She laughs a bit. "They do, don't they? You can hear them too, then?"
Yes, I can.
She nods. "We're very similar now, you and I. I apologize at the same time that I congratulate you." She traces her fingers around the edges of it. "You're not who you once were. You're more and you're far less at the same time. Suspended between dusk and dawn, as it were."
It's odd how that makes sense.
She nods. "You know, now you know the secret. And now you know why I had to leave the Abbey. And now you know why they come to kill me. Everything that we know, everything that we represent, undoes what they think is the truth. If they were to know the truth, they would have no more power." Traces her finger around the edge, another flower. "Your friends are in danger, all of them, but you know this," she says.
I do.
you going to are you going to leave to join them, or will you remain here with me?
I have to stay here.
She nods. I assumed as much. I saw a possibility that you would leave, but it was an echo. She pulls off one of the chrysanthemums, hands it over to you.
I take it.
It smells like every scent that you have ever experienced and a million that you haven't. There is so much more to the world and life and existence than you ever imagined. And yet, at the same time, so much of it is only existent as long as you are there. It's so weird. You're very aware of the subjectiveness of existence. For example, do things really exist when you're not there anymore? It's the whole does a tree when it falls make sense? Make noise? It's very there's a certain kind of a transience to things. So, and she nods. She says, "Yes, I'm glad that you'll stay."
I must.
They'll come, you know. The gardener, winter's touch. They'll come soon enough. We must be ready.
Which means we have a lot of training to do.
We should begin right away then.
Agreed.
And she turns around and it begins. Jeremy, Patrick, Magnus. As you guys begin your adventures.
Yeah.
For the day.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go move over to the Tenerum down south in the Rakers Mountains. The whole of you had just undergone a major trial, mostly Hagranka. Against the Chimera. Hagranka fought single-handedly that undead Chimera, as some of you may remember from 2 weeks ago, and a month ago, and managed to survive. We last left him laying there on the marble flooring, just kind of barely alive, but triumphant. I'd like to know, for Eric's part, Rainmar's part, and Hagranka's part, and I'll start with Eric's, what would you like to do in the short bit of time between there and when I begin picking up your next part of your adventure?
Tidying up the shrine, understanding the relics and their state in all the different shrines of the different gods, and just basically learning and caretaking them and understanding what the hierarchy of power is between the different gods, because that's something that would be very concerning and very important to Eric's in this day and age.
Rainmar, I'm going to skip Hagranka because it's not really so much what he wants to do as what's going to be done with him here in a moment. But Rainmar, what are you going to try and accomplish in the next little bit that follows?
So over the last couple of sessions that we've had, one of them being a solo session, I had asked Brother Karak, Brother Jonas, to get me a palette for paints and some tools with which I could do artwork in the temple.
They do this, but when they do this, Brother Karak and Jonas make it plain to you a couple things.
Yeah.
They tell you that for one thing, the Knolls were very eager to help you as far as they do a lot of cave painting and things like that inside of their lairs and things like that, and they wanted to bring you pigments that they feel like that you could use.
Okay.
Whether or not you use them, it's up to you, but they tried their best.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that I want to mention that happens to you. At one point in time, Calissa Entrati asks you if she can examine the helmet.
Yes, but not until I'm done painting, because I need to use it to do my painting. Okay. So absolutely, yes. We can either say that she looked at it first and then I did my painting, or however
Okay, yeah.
you want.
In downtimes, she'll be investigating it then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
The other thing that I needed put together, and I can ask Calista and Trotty, or I can ask the Knowles, I can ask Brother Karak, but I need, just a second, I have a note for it. I need Black Lotus blossoms.
When you ask for Black Lotus blossoms,
Yeah.
Calissa in particular tells you that that's going to be hard to do. I only know of 2 places that Black Lotus blossoms grow. Well, 3 actually. The closest one is in the Land of Fire.
Okay.
The others are thousands of miles away.
Okay. Would Rainmar, by virtue of his kind of nerdy, looking at books and artwork and stuff like that, would have at least seen a Black Lotus blossom?
Yes.
Okay. Good enough then. That's fine. My only objective then is to build the palette with which that alcove. Remember the alcove that the brothers removed all the rubble from and cleaned up to prepare?
Yep.
And we wiped down the walls to kind of prepare it as a canvas.
Sure.
At every opportunity, I've been putting on the helmet and building a mural in there.
Okay. What's the mural going to look like?
The mural is a depiction of symbols and relevant stories of Zanye.
Okay.
That alcove.
Eric's and Rainmar, during your time in the right now at the Tenerum, one of the things you've noticed, especially Eric's, in the bowls, the various bowls that are some of the vegetation grows, and in the temple itself, where the vegetation grows, something very strange has begun to happen. The vegetation that grows there, and you notice it kind of slowly beginning to happen, but eventually it started to become so much that it was difficult to ignore. A lot of the flowers that were growing there are changing. At first they died away, but they were replaced by others. Where roses, lilies, where many other different orchids used to be, now it seems like there's a lot of dahlia there. And in particular, really dark, bloody-looking dahlia is beginning to grow.
You got it.
Over there.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
This is a meta game.
Sure.
This is out of character. Can Alter Teresa and now Agrias sense all the prismatic chrysanthemums I've planted around the temple?
I almost forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up. And I will address that right after I get to with Patrick right now. Hagaranka, after your victory over the Chimera, a couple things happened. Your tribe has been in kind of a dire straits over the last several months after most of them have been wiped out by the White-Handed One. However, now that your victory over the Chimera has given them something to celebrate, and you celebrate like Knowles celebrate. The first thing that you did is the Queen of Slaughter, or the Carrion Queen, took your entire tribe out into the wild outside of the tribe and went on a mass killing spree of all the animals and all of the minor humanoids within about a 3-mile area of the place. The way that Knowles, one of the ways they celebrate their revels is with just bloodthirst, and it was the slaughter was absolutely beyond compare. Dozens and dozens of different life forms died at the arrows and spears and flails and glaives of your people. After which time there was a massive blood drinking ceremony. Hagaranka, after it's all over, The Carrion Queen comes to you. You are at the temple, and you're in those areas that you have been designated as your sleeping places. The Knolls have kind of considered this right now to be their new home. The Carrion Queen tells everybody not to dig in too deep quite yet until she has a word with you. Now, this is a little bit unusual for Gnoll behavior, because mostly Knolls, they are... it's pretty much whatever the Queen says. She doesn't really look for counsel very much, unless it's from the shaman on spiritual matters. So the fact that she says something to you is a little bit... You can hear a lot of the members of the tribe kind of whispering among each other. This is very strange. When she pulls you over to the side one evening, she asks you the following. Hagranka. She looks over at you. Black lips, her eyes kind of feral in the darkness, kind of looming there.
Am I healed, by the way?
Yes,
Am
you
I-
are. Yes,
Okay.
the shaman and the clerics that are in this temple gave you full healing. One other thing you should note, Hagranka, something about this temple, the shaman has told you, the aspects of life and death are strong here. Healing, as a result, works very, very well, but so does damage. If you were to take damage in here, it's accentuated. If you were to take healing here, it's accentuated.
Okay.
She asks you, how soon will you be prepared to lead our people against our enemies?
Now.
She nods. You will speak to our friends. You will see if our tribe members, the new ones, you will see how deeply their loyalties run. I need to know if they call themselves tribe members in name or in blood.
I understand.
The one named Rainmar, their leader, he has our blood, and yet he speaks precious little to us. He goes about his painting. This seems important to him. She nods. Find out what it is what is the purpose of this, and see if they are prepared to join us. If they are not, we must reconsider what we are doing.
I will.
Eric's, very briefly for you. You are downstairs investigating the things that you mentioned, finding the dichotomy here. You're at the temple, the part of the temple dedicated actually to Hades and Persephone in the chapel level of the temple. When you feel her presence behind you, she's like a giantess there. You can hear the twin torches licking in the air. You can smell the scent of her divinity in the air behind you. It's the three-faced one for sure. The goddess of crossroads approaches.
I got it.
When she comes closer, she leans over. You are a thought, she whispers in your ear. And when she does, her voice is trifold. You can hear it almost echoing around.
Goddess of the crossroads, I ask you for wisdom and knowledge, as all who do. And I expect riddles and for you to have fun with every word, knowing that it might incite chaos in its very nature. And I give her a big, charming smile like any good priest of Hermes would.
Uh-huh. You do your patron proudly. She nods. Speak, and you will have wisdom. in return.
The flowers here, they change. The shrines, they are not the same. Changes in the air. We are at a crossroads here. Please tell me which ways lead from this singularity.
She nods. There is a saying in this new world that you find yourself in. The axiom is the only way out is through, she says. Soon he comes. There has been a void created. Shadow has been sundered to the north. And through that wound he comes. His only son is born into this world, she says.
It is he who brings the night.
She whispers gently. It is he, brother of Irenes. It is he, the punisher of those who would transgress against the dead. You see, all pasts, all futures, all destinies lead to the center of a crossroads. And from that crossroads, from this temple, he will be born. The dahlias are a harbinger of his arrival. The chrysanthemums, she smiles. He did not know what he did when he planted them, and yet, just as destiny works, she smiles, it has all come to fruition the same. The shadow created by she who is embodied in those flowers was rent, and now he comes.
Does he come for vengeance?
No,
Or does he come to paint the world in blood?
he too is at a crossroads, she says. And that is all she says. And she turns around, she walks away. And as she does, she whispers, prepare yourself for his coming. He arrives a prince, and he will leave as a king. And her torches flicker down the hallway as she leaves. Hagranka, you and Raymar are also in here in the temple as that's happening. Raymar, you're decorating the shrine in the back. Hagranka, how do you want to approach Raymar?
Very carefully.
Are the chrysanthemums around the shrine at all?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are in different places. As you get down there, you can smell the canines in the air. There's both the burning wolves and the normal ones. One of the burning wolves in particular seems to have taken a liking to Raynmar. It kind of sits there at the end and just likes to watch him paint. Its light that flickers and rumbles from behind it. It just kind of is the light that allows him to see and to paint by. They can see you're coming down the hallway from a long distance. The one that is his particular wolf, his warg, and this one burning wolf.
And there's paintings around of his.
Oh, there's paintings around there. Yeah, you see this massive mural that is being. It looks like a dusky-skinned woman with a pair of falchions. She seems to be dominating both darkness and light. She has absolutely flawless features. Just seems to be perfect, just about in every sense of the word, really. Hagranka, please tell me what you're going to do.
I'm gonna enter and ask. Well, no, I wouldn't ask. I'm just gonna walk in and start looking at the paintings.
Rainmar, you're aware of her because of his great size more than anything. He walks pretty silently, but because of his great size, he's apparent to your perceptions. She's just kind of looking around at the different paintings. Doesn't say anything. Light inconsistent, like this torch behind you from the burning wolf.
Yeah. Now, I have more than one wall to paint.
I figured that this would happen right when you were finishing the one with Zanye, though.
Yeah. So I tried to make that alcove a miniature shrine to Zanye.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically what I was trying to do.
Yep.
And I'm using the helmet because it ups my artistic ability because I'm not a bard.
Which is why I said it turned out like it did.
Yeah, it turns out amazing with that helmet on. It's perfect. It's Apollo-iptic. Anyway. Yeah, there's a couple of things. I have my notebooks open, and in my notebooks, I've been preparing another mural.
Okay.
And this one depicts hyenas, hyenodons, and in the middle, a giant white mottled hyenodon leading the charge. It's clear that I am doing practice sketches for another mural that I intend to put up.
Hagranka, you've seen this white knoll before in the cave paintings. The shaman usually himself is the one who draws this white knoll. It is the patron god of knolls in particular. But it is not Yinagu.
Fuck that guy.
It is a different knoll.
Now, I want to say that I drew him as a hyenodon, not as a knoll. But
Right. Okay.
And this sketch is in the open, Jeremy?
Yeah, he's got the thing kind of laying
on the floor, my notebooks are open and scrolls are unrolled. I'm practicing because I'm going to put it on the... I'm practicing before I put it on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to focus on that one with the giant white knoll and just ask, why do you paint?
Well, to honor my friends.
Can you tell the future through these paintings?
No. Not really. History is what tells us the future.
How do these paintings honor your friends?
Because my friends are paying attention.
That's good.
It could be, if we really need some help. You see this woman right here on the wall, and I gesture to the mural that I just finished of Zanye.
Mm-hmm.
If she were to come to our aid in our time of need, we would fear nothing. Not that you fear anything anyway, of course. And I give him a look. I give him a little bit of a...
The painting of her looks... those falchions do look pretty deadly.
And I tell him in Nolish, we are both of the blood. We fear nothing.
Well, I mean, you probably fear me because I fucked you up yesterday. I mean, you probably have a little healthy amount of fear. Plus,
the hair on my neck just like raises.
Be careful because there's a flame wolf next to me who's not fucking around, and I guarantee Monty will lose her shit.
Yeah, Hagranka, it's almost like they can see your response. They both kind of look at you when you do that.
Okay. I kind of chill out. Go ahead, Jeremy.
It's just. I'm just messing with you, man. Welcome to the party, you know. I mean, this is what I do. I paint, I play music badly, and occasionally I beat the shit out of a knoll. I mean, it happens, you know.
I kind of just tilt my head and go, it is normal to joke with friends.
I was joking. Yes, it's normal. This is normal, you know, human-esque behavior. Not that there's any human blood in my veins, but the point is that, you know, we should at least fake it. You know what I mean?
As you
I
say
wonder-
that, Raymar, we're going to move over to the other crew right now. Raymar, we're going to go over back to Magnus for a second. Magnus, you wanted to learn something about the vampire. And Arion is learning a few last-minute prayers with the vampire as Soraya. Before it's after light has fallen from the sky. Obviously, the two moons are out. They're reflecting over the Solnor Ocean. The mists are all around. There's a little bit of rain in the air. She's just finished teaching him a couple prayers. In particular, one they've been going over one that she refers to as stalk. I guess it's a very common prayer among clerics of Ilona. And she looks over at you and smiles politely. They've just been dismissed for the day. John Paul. She looks over her shoulder. You've come to me for...
I seek things, but second on my mind is you are tiny and beautiful, but strong and powerful, and this does not make sense to me. The presence and power that you walk with, and I just seek to understand by watching your grace, like a cat, but at least a cat is, and he just kind of bumbles on, right, until she cuts him off.
And when she says, when she finally cuts him off, she stops you and says, John Paul, you have walked the frozen north for some time, yes? She nods. Then you have seen the way the field mouse responds in the presence of the eagle or the hawk, yes? You have seen the way in which the vole will run before the wolverine, yes? In nature, it is obvious who is prey and who is predator. She nods. Humans and their like are complicated, but they have not forgotten those lessons that they knew when they were but infants on this world. They respond to certain things with a primal fear, a horror. They understand that things are not quite right. She nods. So it is that you feel, and you have noticed how things respond in my presence. However, she looks at you in the eye. I can teach you some of that if you wish. What it is to be a predator truly.
Yes.
She nods. For the next week that you're there on the island, Soraya, when she's not dealing with Arion, teaches you the way in which a predator truly acts around prey. How to influence the mentality of a certain person around them, or how to project yourself in such a way that physical primal response that people have to prey, how it actually resonates within them. And by the time you're done at the end of that week, could you roll me a 20, please?
Yeah. I got a 12.
Unfortunately, because of the people that are here on the island, you practice a lot on the butler. the poor Chimera's butler. And by the end of the week, you can walk into a room, John Paul, and you can just see the change in his body, in his posture, in the way that he responds, the subconscious way that he kind of edges away from you. These little tells that you have not only learned how to influence, but you've been able to recognize in people that fear. So we're going to adjust your character sheet slightly for an intimidation and for the ability to detect that in people.
Nice.
All right. It's there for sure now. You've gotten to the point where you can walk around in the bottom of the tower at night, and he'll get up out of bed and go for safety. He can just tell there's something wrong. Brixton, meanwhile, for you, you are upstairs at the learning the last a few of your lessons from the Chimera. And when finally she decides that she's going to release you.
Release mine?
That too. She smiles and says, "Will you return?" She just says that out of nowhere, just like that, bluntly.
Depends on where the waves may take me, but I foresee it as an option.
She nods. "If you were to return," she says, "I will not be the same as when you leave." She nods. "You should be aware of that."
Well, aren't you always different?
"No, you don't understand. Things are changing." She looks kind of up in the air. "Remember, I'm an echo of something else. Something is happening very close by that is changing the way that things relate to others. I can feel it. I feel something emerging from shadow. I feel the shadow has been shattered in some place. The echo world has changed. And I know not what will come of me, but I will be different."
I imagine that has to do with our friend, my friend.
"Almost certainly." She nods. "Be on your guard. I do not know how this metamorphosis will change them."
I'm ready for anything.
"I think you are.
Feel capable.
I feel capable.
Damn it.
I think you are," she says. Meanwhile, Kalaya. It's been about a month that you guys have been training. You and your sister have mostly been training on the beach and things like that, just sparring it and getting yourselves, keeping your skills sharp. Please tell me how you're going to address telling her that you're here to kill her.
I'm going to sit down with her kind of just on the beach, and we're just looking at the waves.
Uh-huh. And she's all happy, Kalaya. She's really just happy to have her sister here. You can tell she's just like, doesn't want to say it and jinx it, you can tell, but your relationship has not always been the best, and she's just happy that you're here and that you're not really always ranking everybody around you so bad, and because obviously you're not doing that because you've got a lot on your mind. But to her, you just seem like you're happier, and you seem like you're in a better place. She doesn't even know that you're wrestling with this inside.
Of course. So I'm going to man, God, what an odd thing to bring up to your sibling.
I'm sure you and Jeremy have gone through this more than once.
I was just gonna say, why is this so feeling? I mean, isn't this like daily?
You know what? I saw you talking shit about me with the Victor and the Chimera, okay? I saw that.
Kalaya, so what are you going to tell her? You're there on the beach, you're sitting on the rocks, and she just kind of looks at you. She goes, "This is nice," she says. She has her sword kind of laying across her lap, and she's cleaning it up a bit.
Gosh, she's so happy she could be a Care Bear. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to pull out the vial and show it to her. That the Kiss of Winter gave me.
She looks at it and then looks up at you. And she says, "What are you doing with that?"
This was meant
you know
for
that's you know that's dangerous. You could get hurt seriously with that.
This was what I was supposed to put in your drink the other day.
Dead silence. It's almost like the whole world goes silent for a second.
I just look at her and ask, you know who the Kiss of Winter is, yes?
He's spoken to you? He gave you that?
He came to the inn that day when I was still in
But why-
Jean-Paul's quarters.
But why me? Why am I so important? She says, shouldn't he be giving that to Agrias or to Teresa?
No, I was supposed to off you to prove my loyalty to him.
And yet you didn't.
And yet I didn't, so I am just as banished as Agrias is probably at this point.
Not only are you just as banished, you'd better watch what you drink. She looks at the vial and looks up at you. My sister.
Yes.
Have you come back to me? Truly now?
Yes, my flower was a ruse.
She rolls over and she hugs you tightly. Her sword kind of clatters to the ground. It'd be so easy to put a dagger in her back right now, Kalaya.
Thanks, Carlos.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought I'd throw that out there. She just hugs you there, and during that, and she whispers in your ear that she loves you in true Elvish, in your ear.
And I roll my eyes and then just sigh, "I love you too."
Meanwhile, Arion,
Yes.
you are getting your last lessons over the last week from Soraya.
Okay. What exactly is that stock? Is that just a prayer or is that a spell?
It's a spell. It's from Greyhawk Adventures, the hardcover book, under the Alona, specialty priestess of Alona. She whispers in your ear, as ever, while you're in the middle of a stalk. You've got it, finally. She goes, your time with me is at an end. Did you just see in chat, by the way, what Lord Grendelwolf said, Kalaya?
No, I didn't. I don't have it up and running right now.
Okay, Ariane, she whispers in your ear, you've got it. She says, it seems your time with me is at an end.
I'm actually stalking something right now, or just...
Yeah, you were, what she does is, you started with the most oblivious of animals, and you're going down to the more skittish ones you can possibly reach up. And you've gotten to the point right now where you can walk up to a rabbit, pretty much with stalk, and just lean down and touch it.
Okay.
Without disturbing it.
Right. As she says that, it's like I just slowly get up and let the whatever I was stalking go about his business. I just sort of turned to her. And I'm guessing this is the last part of our training.
It is. It is.
As she does that, it's like, I hope that it isn't the last that we'll see each other.
She nods.
And at that point, I give her, I don't know if you looked at what I sent you yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. If you could pick that up and just quickly skim over the one.
Yep. Hit me. Keep talking.
As I do, I am handing her a little white birch brooch with some thongs on it. It'll describe why. I say this is an arm brooch. It's like, I want to thank you for your help, your training with this.
Mm-hmm.
On that, it I've got a piece of obsidian embedded in the middle of it. Carved out a spot and embedded in there. One side has got a horn of Alone on it. The other side has got a fairy slipper orchid carved into it.
Okay.
On the back is May Alona walk with you always.
I see it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. So basically I've just taken like small little like natural dye, plant dyes and rubbed in there so you get definition of the little grooves.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I've consecrated this to Alona. I'm assuming it is not going to hurt you if I did that.
No, she takes it in her hand, and you see that it's not burning her.
Okay. This is for like your upper arm, so it doesn't get in the way of your bowl or anything like that.
Very thoughtful of you.
If she allows me, I'll tie it on her arm or whatever.
No, she lets you. She puts it up there. Be careful. Remember, don't touch my flesh.
I hold up my hands. I don't have to worry about that. Remember from way back, I've got the real light things.
She looks down at it. She sees it and nods. You tie it on. She looks at it kind of in the moonlight. Sees it on her arm. It looks nice on her.
I'm hoping that the birch actually helps you in possibly the future, even though it is somewhat of a taboo item toward your new kind. Mm-hmm. But I just want to thank you, and I would like to, if in time of the experience allows, I'd like to have you as my teacher again, and hope maybe this will be some kind of a tie. I don't know if it will or not. If you could, like mentally, tie each other with this. But what I also do, as doing it, I take her hand in mine and shake her hand, and slowly and carefully look into her eyes and say thank you.
She gives you a hug, actually, and pulls you kind of close and holds you a little bit for a moment. And she says, there's a way that I could tie myself to you, but I do not wish to curse you so. And she pulls back.
I do believe I understand.
She says, pulls back. And she says,
I'm thinking that if you needed to, or I'm hoping that if possible, if you concentrate on this, you'd be able to maybe scry out or something like that.
Perhaps. Someone's echoing me pretty good right now, by the way. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but perhaps. She nods.
I just want you to know that you have, you being the loner that you are now because of necessity, you do have friends. And that is what I'm trying to get, point out, that no matter what, in your loneliness, there are people that do care. Thank you.
I could always count on John Paul, I guess. She grins a little bit.
And like I and at the bottom of the letter, it's like you'll notice that part.
Yeah, I did. I saw it.
I just wink to just remember the rabbits.
She holds the paper in her hand, just kind of folds it up a bit. You see her put it in a scroll case at her side. I will be gone with tomorrow's morn. Much like yourself and much like the rabbit, she says. I am prey as well, you see. And there is one that I must flee soon. It is the reason why I did not come directly here. But, she says, in the nights when all seems lost, this will warm me.
That's all I hope.
And that will be the end of you guys' training, the two of you, for the time being, for your next level. I got this thing about the serpent as well.
All right.
The next day, you and him finish your training, which is all about how to kill giants, really. It's all about tactics on how to deal with giant-sized creatures. But it goes a little bit deeper.
I still have an oddball meta question here. I still have not figured out why the heck kobolds and those.
I don't know exactly why Gary decided that he wanted to make kobolds and goblinoids and things like that to be in giant class creatures in Unearthed Arcana.
Maybe just because it's a type. I don't know.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I think he just wanted. I think he wanted to extend it to humanoids, but there you go.
Okay.
But anyway, he goes in and he gives you the rest of your lessons about that. And when you're done with that, you go ahead and you perform a lot of the different the techniques he's been teaching you. And at the end of it all, he's kind of like, all right, well, I'm pretty much satisfied that you've got this. It's about time I take off, too.
All right. As he does that, I also hand him his sheet, and 3 arrows from the different types.
Kind of looks at him up and down.
So I tell him the oddball one here with the different tip.
Yeah.
Experiment with that. I haven't yet.
Yeah.
So it may or may not work.
Because it looks like it's good quality, though, what you did here. I like what you did. Thank you.
Yeah,
he puts it back in his quiver. He goes, I got to be honest with you. He goes, it's not very often that somebody gives me a gift.
Well, not that often. That I appreciate the work that you put into putting up with me.
Nah, it's kind of slaps you on the shoulder. He goes, well, we'll be seeing each other again.
I hope so.
And that's pretty much the end of your training. The next day, the whole group of you, Kalaya, John Paul, Brixton, Arion, the boat comes from the captain's ship to pick all of you up. You're bid farewell by your various trainers, and you're taken back aboard the pirate ship.
By the way, did I find out anything on the care and feeding of my new friend?
Yeah, she did teach you. That thing is going to eat a lot, and it eats meat.
Yeah.
It eats
I basically
meat and a lot
stocked enough to try to feed as much as I could.
I should mention this too, Arion. You are right now considered this new pet's mother.
Yes.
And father. It going to want to be by you at all times until it's old enough to actually to do anything.
Right. Basically, like Stinky there was with
Rainbow. And so actually, Soraya has manufactured for you a sling to keep around your chest.
That's not going to be usable in about a week.
Yeah,
if that.
She says, but for right now, it's going to have to do. So this owlbear right now does a lot of sleeping in there and eating. No, I am not able to really communicate with it though, unless that ring by some oddball chance lets me do that. Yeah, no, not really. Yeah, and Big Tiger Man's out there saying a water campaign. Yeah, this game is going to be very water-based here very soon. But you guys are all back in the ship eventually. The owlbear is just kind of staring out into the sky, looking at the way that the clouds go. It hasn't seen too much of this. Captain Ditarndress comes to meet the 4 of you.
I am haunting Brixton's steps. Like, I am behind him the whole time.
I'm not even going to ask, the captain says. She looks at a bunch of you. She goes, well, did everyone have a good time in Niflheim?
More or less.
Pretty much. Spent a lot of time with training and research. Not really much time for fun, if you want to call it that.
Well, I've got great news for the bunch.
I want to thank you for your gift here as well.
Oh, that? She goes, it was a gift to myself more than anything. What was I going to do with it? I got it as a gift from an admirer in a port, and I didn't know what to do with it. I figured you would. At any rate, she looks at the bunch of you. She says, listen, I'm taking you back to Procan's Eye. She looks at all of you. She says that a lot's happened, and you need to be there. I think that they're almost ready to do something.
By the way, was I able to do in my training, do an augury, or at least get an idea of maybe what happened?
Yeah, okay, here's what your augury said. Your augury, augury is a yes-no thing.
Right.
So ask me the question you want to ask me.
Well, is it just one, or is it just
It's one yes-no question.
I thought it'd be more of like almost like a visual type of thing too.
Hit me with your question.
Are the two Einar and Merrick, are they still alive?
The response you get is, yeah, this is AD&D and it is Thaco, Big Tiger Man. The answer that you get is yes and no. And that is all you receive.
Do I have a feeling that my answer was in direct respect, like Einar yes, Merrick no, or was it?
No, it was very, very vague.
Okay.
It could be that that they're between life and death. It could be one of them's alive, one of them's dead. It could mean a million different things.
Right. Okay.
So you guys are on the boat and you're heading down the coast to Procan's Eye. In the meantime, we're going to go back to the temple.
Talk to me.
I will.
Tell me things.
Rainmar,
So,
you've been decorating and you have been hitting the art hard as far as that goes. Eric's, you have been going around and what you have learned is that this place celebrates all of the Greek Chthonian gods, whether it be Hades and Persephone, primarily. It also celebrates those that tend to either have some kind of tie to them, whether it be Hermes as a messenger, as a ferryman to the dead, or whether it be Hecate, who actually does or Hecate, whichever you prefer, gives you the she is another person who is in the sort of the employ of Hades, or whether it be some of the nymphs that were also celebrated as Chthonian in nature. But there's also more to it than that. For example, you'll notice that Aphrodite was celebrated in the temple. Well, that is because Aphrodite's one of her good friends was Artemis, and Artemis's mother is Aphrodite. So there is a lot of these ties between the gods in there, and what it really reinforces to you is that the Greek god hierarchy is really a tangle of alliances. It really a tangle of alliances. Example: Zeus gave Hades the go-ahead to abduct Persephone and take her to the underworld. Demeter was pissed off by that and made the world barren for a time. Who was Persephone's dad, actually? Zeus! So there's a lot of things there are a lot of contradictions and a lot of a mess that sometimes people don't actually there's no cause and effect sometimes between the gods, the way that they work. And so the ties become really, really murky on how things actually happened. Like, for example, you would think that
Minnesota more than anywhere else.
I'm sorry?
Does Demeter hate Minnesota more than anywhere else?
More than anywhere else in the world, Demeter hates the state of Minnesota. Although right now, the west coast of the United States right now are not high on her list either.
Good point.
But she these are the things that you are learning as you go through there, is that, for example, things that never occurred to you before, like how come Zeus didn't say, well, I'm your dad, you can go? Why did he have to go underhand with his brother, to abduct Persephone? Some things aren't really clear in history like that through the legends. But yet, and another thing that was never clear: Persephone, the reason how she got tied to the underworld, Hades, and to Hades, why she never returned directly is because she ate of a pomegranate, 6 seeds of a pomegranate, when she was in the underworld. That tied her to the underworld forever, for half of the year at least, right? Well, did she know what she was doing when she did that? Because she's a goddess of spring. She's a goddess of fertility. She should have known what would have happened there. So was she really abducted by Hades? Or did she just basically say, you know what, this is how I'm going to make sure Mom can't make me stay up in the world forever? A lot of these things, the topology of them becomes a little bit strange when you really dig into it, that you're learning through the study of this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you're a priest of Hermes, and so your focus has heavily been on Hermetic faith, but your mind is being expanded to a lot of these other faiths and a lot of things that are calling into question really exactly what happened. So,
the nice thing about being a priest of Hermes, though, is that I'm probably better prepared to deal with that expansion than I would be in any of the others, right?
Yeah.
Because Hermes is so mercurial anyway, that like the ability to take into account all of these other things and to adapt as we go is probably just built right into my personality.
Absolutely. It very much is. Now, Raymar, you've been on this art for a long time. And continue after you're done with the Zanier and the Knoll portraits. Which are you going to work on?
Well, I had only endeavored to make that alcove into a shrine to Zanier.
Okay.
And then I was going to start working on depictions of Gorelick. Not a shrine per se, because I was going to have that kind of outdoors.
Okay. While you're working on that, on Gorelick, Hagranka often comes to visit. You get the impression he wants to ask something or say something, but you never guys get around to it.
Okay.
Hagranka is there watching you work at one point, and you're sitting there standing, looking at the portrait while you're doing that, and the two of you, the light is flickering behind you from the firewolf, and another joins it. And you can sense her presence there. Hagranka, every once in a while, this person that walks around through the temple. This person that everybody seems to give a lot of respect to. They refer to her as Hecate, or Hecate, whichever you prefer. She always is carrying these 2 torches, and when she speaks in 3 voices at once. She's tall. She's taller than you, actually. She's about 9 foot tall. And she walks at this really noble, regal bearing, like she owns the place. Raymar, you and Hagranka are standing there looking at the portraiture, and you can sense her presence behind you.
Greetings, Lady of the Crossroads.
Greetings. I see that Apollo has guided your brush well.
Apollo doesn't guide me.
She smiles slightly. She says, "You shouldn't let him hear that."
I hate to be this way, but I really don't care what Apollo hears.
She looks down at Hagranka. And Hagranka, it's very rare that something looks down at you. She looks down at you, and she says, looks over at Raymar. She says, "Our patron wishes a word."
Oh, okay.
May I take you to his house?
I wish you would.
She looks down at Hagranka. And she says, will our friend be coming with us?
I don't think Hagranka has anything to say to Hades, does he?
You may wish him to see the sights of His Majesty.
Good idea. I think my little warg pup is going to come with me too in that case.
She nods. She looks at Hagranka. This woman looks down at you and says, Hagranka, firstborn of your lineage, she says, Pap tu Zarachna. I am going to take you on a journey with Rainmar. You are going to see things that no Knoll has ever beheld before. She smirks a bit. Gird yourself for a voyage.
I am ready.
She holds up her torch. They're both of them. She whispers a breath across both of them and they go out, ensconcing the room in darkness except for the firewolf. And the firewolf's light tends to dim out. And when it grows back, it's only the light of her two torches that return to the world. Around you is this vast gray plain all around you. In the distance you see jagged mountains scraping, cutting, breaking the sky almost with their size, these silhouettes. All around you there's this gray pall. Behind you there's a massive wall, a gate. You can see something on the outside of the gate, the echoes of it burning. In the distance there's a mass procession of shadows walking along a river, almost like in military fashion. Not far from you there's a flock of these great gray, or I should say black, rams, about the size of maybe a dwarf. They're gigantic in size. These rams, they're just kind of grazing at these threadbare plants that spring up occasionally out of the ground. Not far from you, maybe about 200 feet, you see this black, utterly like it's carved out of obsidian, this Athenium rising up. It stairs on every side of it, stone, marble, black marble stairs that rise up to these pillar columns, and a door that's set in its face with the head of a black ram peering down over it. You see these guards, these shadow guards, all in front of it. She looks over at Hagranka. Hagranka, to you, all around, the sense of death is very apparent. The sense of a fate of which there is no escape. A fate of ennui, eternal gloom, despair, all around you. The sense of the world ending, not with destruction, but a slow, steady decline into oblivion. Welcome to Hades, she says, and looks at Hagranka for a moment. Looks over at Rainmar. Come. She walks towards the door. As she walks towards the door, Asperion looks at you, Rainmar. His shadow. Hagranka, you notice, you've seen him before, the ghost of this Hellenic warrior. He's among one of the guards that are standing there outside of the gate. Just kind of nods at you both as you walk past. Up the stairs and into the Hall of Hades. Within the Hall of Hades there is no color but gray. Everything is dark. Everything is morose. It's very quiet in there. The back wall of it is this growth of ivy Within it, you see dahlia growing. You see pomegranates growing in there. You see cypress in there. Cypress trees. Before that is a large throne, and a man, gigantic in stature, sits there. He's got dark black beard. He's wearing robes, like a toga almost. Next to him is the only bit of color in the room. A woman that stands tall, about maybe 8 foot tall. She's got long brown hair, like the earth itself, the color of the earth itself. Pale flesh, beautiful, most brilliant green eyes you've ever seen. Around her head is a garland of green growing. It just kind of rolls down into her hair. The plants interweaving with her hair. Hades looks down upon you from his throne, Persephone at his side. He looks over at Hecate, looks over at Hagranka. He comes with your servant, she says, and just kind of bows a little bit to him. He nods.
Excuse me? What was the last part?
He comes with your servant, he says.
Whose servant?
Hecate just kind of looks at you and turns around and walks away.
I see we have some confusion. Okay.
Hades looks down at the two of you. Hagranka is known to me, he says in a voice that sounds like thunder. He says, all those that bring death are known to me. Rainmar the Wildlight, it is good to see you again.
Likewise, my friend.
He nods. Forgive Hecate, he says. She only understands the ways in which I was once worshipped. To them, I am the rich one. Everything is my servant, for at the end times everything will bow to me. You understand? She nods. He nods.
I believe I do.
He nods. I have asked you to come to me because soon, very soon, I will be sending you someone very important to me.
Okay.
Looks over at Persephone. Persephone just kind of squeezes his shoulder. My son, Geotisklas, child of darkness.
And why would you send your son to me?
He looks at you. He will be needed. Soon, very soon, he will be needed. I only speak to you directly because when you see him, I want you to recognize him. You should know these things.
And he knows who I am?
He will. He's with his sisters as we speak, completing his knowledge of punishing those who transgress against the dead. He nods. You see, my son, this is his role to play. Those who would commit crimes against the dead, those who would transgress against the living in such a way, he is there to punish them. He acts as my hand in this.
And he will act as what for me?
A friend, a companion. You see, long ago in this world on which you dwell, there was a great betrayal. The first ever upon your world. It is how your folk knew of duplicity. It is how your folk came to become aware that there was such a thing as treachery.
Okay.
It was a great crime that cannot go unpunished. And if I am to rise upon this world, if I am to be worshipped on your world, those of your world must know that I will not allow crimes of such magnitude go without reprisal. Hence his presence upon the world. You have done me great honor. You have done my bride great honor. And so I know I ask of you much. You have not been obliged to do any of this, and yet you have. He nods.
My quest is one of knowledge and friendship.
He nods. Persephone speaks up then. You know, Rainmar, she says, and she kind of gets on one knee and kind of leans forward so she can see more eye to eye. What my husband is trying to say, she taps him on the shoulder, is that we know that. But we want you to have friends too, she says. You've given us so much. You've given us friendship where we never asked for that. You've glorified our names. We never asked for that. My husband, they call him the rich one. You know, wealth is part of his, how do you mortals say, a portfolio. And it's not like him to give things. He's kind of a miser. She whispers and smirks a little bit.
Yeah, I got that about him.
But
I don't whisper.
But a gift is appropriate. He'll help you. In the process of doing what he's supposed to do. She looks over at her husband. I've been a stern father to my children. But there is no question among any of them of my concern for them. He looks over at Hagranka. You have sent many to my plains, Hagranka. He nods. Looks over at you, Rainmar. But you should know that when one day you come to my side too, you will be cared for, as I have cared for my children. Many mistake my motives. Many mistake what I do. At the beginning of the universe, my brothers and I drew 3 lots to choose what our roles would be. I chose unluckiest. I now look over the dead. All this is my kingdom, when it might have been the sky or the ocean. You see, my point is, do not judge me for that which I rule over. I am my own, as I have ever been.
Brother Hades, I don't think I was judging you at all. And I also think that the wisest choice was the underworld. Consider that not all things come to the sky, and not all things come to the ocean, but all things do come to death.
Persephone kind of squeezes his shoulder. Some of us chose this too. She taps his shoulder.
Something else I've learned in my studies is that all things come with a cost.
He nods.
And I pause. Where's Cerberus?
Outside the gate. Perhaps you saw his glow?
Well, I would have thought he would have come running, you know? And I kind of walk off as if I mean to hail the dog, you know? Like, dude,
he looks over at you. He says, I cannot let him leave his place. But you can see him after you leave if you wish.
on the way out. Yeah, okay.
He nods.
So,
You see, if I were to let him leave his place, who knows who would flee from the doors.
yeah, and also, I mean, he might want to come back with me.
Of
And
course.
that would be a problem.
And as it is that I amass wealth, as my wife has told you in no uncertain terms, I am a bit of a miser. I cannot allow even a single soul to leave this place. He nods.
As I progress with my mission, I may seek your counsel again, my friend.
You will have it. I have tasked, as you have noticed, Hecate to stay with you, to remain among you. She serves as my liaison between the two of us. However, when you need me, rest assured I will be there. As you said, all things come with a cost.
Indeed.
Speaks of it.
And as you can see, when you need something, I'm also here.
As you have always been.
And all things come with a cost.
Treat my child with respect and kindness as you have treated all of my other gifts. This is all I ask. He will arrive soon. The dahlias, they come into bloom. They respond to his coming presence. To the north of you, your friend has returned to the world. And through his shadow, through the cracks that he has created, darkness has followed him in the form of my son.
Okay. I'm going to leave that be.
He nods. You should know it is his choice to remain in his dark tower.
I've made allowances for that.
She nods.
And I think we knew.
He nods. Persephone tells you, there's going to be changes. We're strong enough now. We've gotten enough of a foothold now. You'll start to see them soon. But, she says, one last word of warning. She looks at your helmet.
Mm-hmm.
They come. The Lightbringers come.
Well, if they do, somebody should give them a warning.
For the first time ever you've known him, you see Hades actually smile. And he says, and who's to say that I haven't? Much transpires here while you are gone, my friend.
Hades, I long only for my art, for the pursuit of knowledge, and anyone that gets in the way of that will know steel.
And that's what vexes him most greatly. You see, everything about you should make him your friend. He is a god of the light, of art, of music, of knowledge. And yet you resist him. It vexes him to his core, and I adore every moment of it.
You're welcome.
He smiles. It is his lot, and it is his just deserts. You see, when mortals wished rain, they would pray to Zeus. And when they wished calm waters, they would pray to my brother Poseidon. But when they wished justice, they would pray to me. He smiles.
Well, if they come for me in my new home, they're going to need to pray to something they never prayed for before.
I cannot wait to watch. You have an army at your disposal, he nods over at Hagranka. It is small at this point, but your tribe grows strong. It grows great. You have the tools, and your friends even now sail southward along the shores, so says my brother. The winds are at their back. He has seen to the calmness of the sea. They will travel unimpeded. He nods. Whether you wish to join them or not, that is yours to decide. But know this. My son, he will go to their side.
That seems appropriate, but my path is my own.
Of course.
And even I don't know where I'll be.
I would expect nothing different. You, though Apollo would think you his kin, you are truly more mine. You have made something from nothing. You create, and that is something that Apollo will never understand. He was given everything at the beginning of time. I was given this. And from it I have created art. A dark art, perhaps, but art the same. You look at what you have created from nothing. A small empire.
I can assure you it is only the beginning.
I salute your efforts. Oh. I almost forgot. He says, and he looks over at Persephone. Hagranka, she says. She kind of leans down a little bit. My name is Persephone. I'm the wife of Hades, the god of the dead. I'm the goddess of spring, of renewal, flowers, and of a million other things that you could care less about. She smiles. But I want you to know something. As the goddess of birth and rebirth, she says, there have been over 372 gnolls born to the south of you. These are secrets that I know. They're born to that tribe to the south that would count themselves your enemies. The ones that are ruled by the one known as the White-Handed One. The one that tried to extinguish the lives of yours. Know that they grow great. And if you wish to change that, striking now would be a good idea.
Thank you.
She nods. One other thing. She looks over down at Rainmar. She looks over at you. She says, you have thrown your lot in with our friend. And as a result, that makes you our friend. I will see that your seed is strong. Lay with the Queen's daughter this evening and see what happens.
Well,
She nods.
And without missing a beat, I charge Cerberus.
Okay, turn around. You
Yeah,
see Rainmar turn around. He goes running out through the door. The ram, the black ram at Hades' side bleats really loud, almost in surprise, and he just kind of soothes it by stroking through its dark, curly fleece. Raymar goes out the door and runs right through the gates of Hades outside, runs right past Hesperian, and there's friggin' Cerberus. All three heads low sitting there, and it starts licking your face, Rainmar. You feel that heat licking all around you from the all three of the heads. This monstrous creature, it's spittle everywhere. It is very, Cerberus is very happy to see you.
Okay. Just making sure he remembers who the fucking alpha is here, okay?
Rainmar, you and Hagranka. That's where I'll leave the two of you, for the time being.
You got it.
Meanwhile, on the boat, outside. Your path, the group's entire path. Actually, I'm going to pull up the other one for a moment. The group's entire path takes them along the coast. The trip from Niflya down to Procan's Eye, past Kavrick's Cove, is a very swift one, actually. It's much quicker, and the captain remarks on this more than once on your way. Got a very favorable wind, she mentions. We're going to make excellent time down to Procan's Eye, she says, telling you all. And it's soon enough, the four of you see on the horizon a sight that you hadn't expected quite to see, but nonetheless, perhaps maybe you should have expected it. Things happen when you're not around. The world evolves and changes. You see the great wall that's been built around Procan's Eye, the settlement that you guys have created. The timbers of the palisade fence are there. The great trench that's been dug out front of it has been deepened and widened. There's an actual full drawbridge that goes across it now. There's probably 40 men on battlements that stalk the battlements around it. And stretching out from the shore into the Solnor, there is a great raft that's there. It's probably about 500 feet on every side. There are sails that have been created, that have been built onto it. It's like a gigantic, flat-bottomed boat that looks like it could be set out to sea at any time. See the pirate captain, she kind of just nods and looks at, well, would you look at that? You don't see something like that every day. She looks at the both of you. On it, the main sail, this gigantic main sail that's there, has this square sail, has this great eye that is sitting right in the middle of it. She looks over at the bunch of you. Well, it looks like our colonel's been a bit busy, says it, looking at the whole of you. As the boat begins to pull up to the shoreline. There's been a great kind of a berthing that's been built there, wooden berthing. It's just the size for the Nereid's shawl, her boat. Brixton, as you get closer and closer, you see activity on the shores in the form of two small gnomes that are running back and forth, making a lot of noise. Go ahead, Brixton.
I want to cast Alter Self and appear as a different gnome.
Okay, what do you want to look like?
I don't know, just not Brixton.
Describe it to me.
Well, I won't have my hat on. Probably like dark brown hair, green eyes, kind of like a big beard instead of kind of like all trimmed and nice.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you change yourself over there. You walk actually into the quarters and come out as a different person.
Okay, I'm going to be holding his hat.
Okay, you're holding Brixton's hat. The whole group out there, you guys see this other gnome kind of among you. He looks absolutely totally different to the other gnome. There is no way to tell that it is not Brixton, that you guys can see. In fact, you just think he's a normal member of the crew. But as the boat comes closer, you can start to see the building that the Colonel and Shauna Everin were staying in is now somehow been moved onto the middle of this boat. It's now like the quarters of the captain, and they're sitting. It's on the raft. There are a bunch of people that are walking out towards the pier with you. One of them you recognize right away as the paladin. That is the paladin of Daeron is there. He's got his shield there. The big tower is graven on his shield. He's got his dog there. Along with them is a very familiar face to you. You can hear him from a long distance. You're about maybe 100 yards away from port. Ahoy! You hear him say he's got his crossbow over his shoulder. Grins at y'all. Never thought I'd see you again. I thought you guys hightailed it. Wait till you see what we've done with the place. He thumbs over his shoulder. Boat kind of pulls into shore. You can see Sunny and Lily there. I want everybody to make me a 20, please.
8.
Arion?
7.
John Paul shouldn't get that roll. I take that back because he hasn't had too much contact with them. Brixton and Arion, Lily and Sunny are a little bit bigger. You can tell. They're a little more muscular, both of them. It looks like they've been doing a lot of training, and their skin is tanned. Both of them. They look like maybe they've been working on this raft that they've been going. You pull into shore. The paladin is the first one to greet you, and Dorian kind of starts walking up the gangplank as they load it down. He's just kind of looking, sweeping his eyes back and forth across all of you with a kind of a pensive look on his face. But after he seems calm. After he's done, you can tell, you've been around enough paladins that you can tell that he's detecting evil, trying to make sure that you are who you say you are. Looks over at you, he says, "Welcome back."
Thank you.
Looks at the bunch of you. He stops when he sees Kalaya. Nods in his direction. He goes, "Who are you? And who's your friend?" He looks over at Brixton. Melina walks. She says, "This is my sister, Kalaya." "Right," he says.
A pleasure.
I thought Kalaya was with us when we left the...
He was, but Dorian never saw her.
Oh, okay.
Dorian doesn't even say anything back in response. When you say a pleasure, he just nods.
Ah, sneaky. Okay.
Meanwhile, the girls run onto the boat. Both run right past him. "Hey, where's Brixton? Where's Brixton?" You see Lily and Sunny.
And then
He fell overboard.
You must be Sunny and Lily. And then
They
I
look
say,
at you and they look shocked and horrified.
I say with a super sad face, and I said, his dying wish was for me to give this to you.
He died by our enemy's hands.
Lily busts open into tears, starts crying. Oh, I told you we should have gone with Sonny just holds her. She's like, oh. She starts kind of tearing up a little bit too and holds her. She's holding the hat. She's just too upset even to say anything, just shaking.
This is why apprentices always follow their master.
She looks up at you with these. She's like, Goliath, don't you? I was gonna say that at a time like this. Did you try and stop him? Did you jump overboard and try and save him? What happened with they're all just crying. Their eyes just looking at you, these big blue eyes.
Oh, okay.
Ariana, are you going to let this go? This go on any further?
No, I just start laughing and I take my hat back
and drop a spell.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're terrible.
I say, you guys got to work on your magic some more, hey?
They both look at you and they stop crying. Brixton, make me a 20-sider, please.
Uh-oh. I got a 6.
Lily looks like she's going to run up to you. Sonny punches you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sonny punches you in the face and it hurts. She actually puts you on your ass. She goes, "You son of a bitch!" She says, pointing at you. Because how are you going to do that? We were so upset looking for you, and you're going to do something like that. This is the first thing you're going to do when you come back. You go for a month. What happened to you? You're supposed to be our teacher, and then you're going to tell us about how we're supposed to be training? And you disappeared for a month?
Well, because your teacher had to train. And I just give them both a
They're
hug.
both just kind of panting and looking at you, Kalaya, looking at you, Arion. So he just turns around in a huff and runs back down the gangplank. Lily just kind of looks up at you and says, "Here's your hat back."
I say thanks, Lily. It's really nice to see you guys
She
again.
turns around and just kind of walks in sad down the gangplank away from you. Melina looks over at you,
You
Brixton.
scarred them.
I hope you're happy with yourself.
I know I am.
Shush you. I bet you are, Dorian says, and turns around and walks away down the gangplank. Fast friends. The captain goes, "Well, it's good to see we're all just a great big family again." She says, smiling.
Some are black sheep.
"Yeah, I can see that. Well, be off with you," she says, looking at the bunch of you.
Thanks for the ride.
She looks over. "No
Thank
problem."
you.
Smiles.
And I look over at Jean-Paul and wink.
John Paul, this is really your first time meeting a bunch of these people. So Dorian looks over at you, kind of sizes you up. He's kind of a tall, thin man, shaven head. He's got a dog next to him. Looks over at you. And just, excuse me, he says, "Try that again." "Corn," he says, shakes your hand. "Pleasure to meet you."
I shake his hand, and I even be gentle.
Yeah, he looks at you and he says, "I'll introduce you to the rest of the other guys." He says, "Kind of new here, huh?"
Yes, I fight in arena with the non-cheaters of this group and make big friends and travel with. Nice to meet you.
"Pleasure to meet you too," he says. Shakes your hand. He says, he goes, "We kind of heard a little bit about this arena business."
It is scary place. Only go a very, very powerful.
No, he says.
Full of cheaters.
You don't understand, he says. Word travels fast up and down the coast, especially when you've got a cheerleader. He looks over his shoulder. And over his shoulder, when he looks down, you see somebody working on patching one of the walls of the palisade fence. the kid that you were training and his sister are there. He looks over at you. He said, came looking for work a couple days ago.
Hey! I say to them.
He looks over his shoulder. He waves his hammer. He kind of comes running up with his sister. You can hear his sister the whole time bitching in his ear. I'm telling you, this is all good and fine to look for work down here, but we need to be going back up.
As soon as they get close, I want to pick both of them up with one hand each, throw them in the air, and catch them on my shoulders.
She eeps out a cry of shock. The boy is just laughing up and down. He thinks it's the greatest thing ever. He grabs your shoulder
around a little bit, and then I stop, and then I pull them up by their clothes, and I say, "Good to see you again. How are you?"
And likewise, the girl says. He's like, "When can we start training again?" The boy says,
"Tomorrow." And I give her just a hug that's just a little bit too creepy.
Okay. Meanwhile, walking up towards you, Kalaya, Arion, and Brixton, you see the druid. She comes up the gangplank. She looks at the bunch of you. She says, "Where's Rainmar? I figured he'd be with you."
He's still at the temple.
She looks a little upset. She turns on her heel. She goes, "Thanks." Turns around and walks away.
I hail her before she moves away.
She looks back.
I may need a little bit of guidance from you here.
Shakes her head and turns. "I'll be around." She says and turns around and walks away.
Is her bed cold?
Melina looks over at you. Are you saying that out loud, Kalaya?
I am saying that out loud.
She stops. And she turns back around and she looks at you. Who are you again? What's your name again?
I'm Kalaya. I'm Melina's sister.
Right. I remember you. You're the one that everybody hated her guts, right? Because you were such a bitch the first time you were here. If I remember right. Or wait, were you the one that was running around because you were here to some, I don't know, everybody thought you were a traitor maybe or something like that? Or, oh wait, no, you're the one that we detected evil from, if I remember right. Oh wait, you're all of those people. I forgot. You're the same person. She looks around, looks over at Melina. She says, "You couldn't be any different." And looks over at you, Kalaya, and turns around. "Couldn't be any different." And walks away.
I laugh so hard. I reach out to Arion to steady myself.
She.
Okay. You as Melina, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put my hand up there and make one of those moves.
Melina looks over at you, Kalaya, and says, "Is that part true about the evil part?" She looks at you. Do paladins actually see you as being evil?
We still have much to talk about, little sister.
I was gonna say that I was gonna show him that you weren't. She has this blank look on her face. The colonel is coming up to the bunch of your group. He walks up the gangplank. Looks at you. It's good to see you all again.
Well met.
How did your training go? Did you learn
Very
much?
well.
Good. I see you've brought good, strong fighting men with you. He points over at John Paul while he's walking down, getting shown.
You have no idea.
Man knows how to raid a fortress. I'll give him that.
He kind of looks over sees the rest of you smiling, just kind of grins himself. Well, all right then. At any rate, you've brought good, strong fighting men here. He looks like a handful.
You have no idea.
We've been waiting for you. How soon are you ready to push off into the Solnar?
Push off into the what? I'm sorry?
How soon are you ready to push off into the ocean, the Solnar Ocean? He says, points over at the raft. He says, "Look what we've done with all the wood you brought." Says she's a fine vessel, isn't she?
It is indeed. Unfortunately, my sisters and my orders take us elsewhere.
He looks over at Melina, looks at you. Oh, do tell.
We must go retrieve Agrias.
He's back.
Oh, that's good news. Then perhaps after you bring him back, perhaps you can get Rainmar too. He's with him, yes?
They're in the same temple, yes.
Oh, very good then. I'd be most pleased, well pleased to have them back. We can wait just a bit longer, I suppose.
I'm glad I could help, but I think at this point that at the very least, Brixton and Arion should push off.
He looks over at Brixton and Arion. Goes, well, don't you want to be at full strength before we leave?
We do.
As a military man, I don't know how we would get the rest of them to us.
Well, I can do that, but I feel like we should wait for their return.
He kind of
I
pauses.
do as well.
He says, "It seems to me that you have much to discuss as well before we push off." I sense a bit of indecision, so what I'll do is I'll speak to Shauna and let her know that the rest of you are here. She'll be happy to hear that. And Kalaya, you talk with your friends and see what you want to do. Obviously, you're your old woman. You can do as you wish. You have no tie to us.
Thank you, Colonel.
He says, but the rest of you, he looks at the two of you, Brixton and Arion. He says, well, maybe Agrias and Raymar want to be here before we leave.
I would think so. Plus, I also need to stock up a little bit on some extra meat supplies.
He nods. He looks down at the thing in the pouch. He just hears this kind of growling rumbling in there. It kind of it's asleep right now, and the pouch is such that it's over its head a bit.
By the way, is it male or female? Do I know?
It's a female.
Okay.
And he looks down at it. He says, "I think we can accommodate that. We have some meat supplies." He looks down and he goes, "I don't know how much you'll need."
Neither do I.
Right.
But I'm guessing a whole lot more than my previous companion.
Okay, we're going to stop there with your group, and we're going to move over back to the Tower of Shadows for a moment. And at the Tower of Shadows, Agrias.
Yes.
You have been training, and in this time, you have discovered a few things.
Okay.
One, something followed you from the plane of shadow out into the prime material plane, or at least it is coming in your wake. That is one thing. What it is, it's hard to tell, but whatever it is, it's born of shadow. The second thing, there has been a bridge that has been built somehow from the Tower of Shadows to the south, to the temple of Hades and Persephone. You are able to cross that distance as you wish through the prismatic chrysanthemums. You and Alta Teresa can do that through stepping through shadow.
Okay.
Instant teleportation to it. She's told you that the conversation was in the garden at the bottom of the tower. And she tells you that someone has planted their own garden in that temple. and that's how it's become possible.
You mean our flowers?
Yes, your flowers grow and have taken root there, which she tells you she thought was impossible because the prismatic chrysanthemum is a magical flower. The fact that it would take root in a place like that surprises her. It would take much magic, natural magic, to make it grow true. But what the consequence of that might be, it's hard to tell.
Well, oh wait, is Sister Armina still at the bottom?
Sister Aramina, when you think about what is following you, you get the very strong sensation that she may be one of the things that's following you out through darkness.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask Alta Teresa, where is this this instant teleportation bridge? Where is it in our citadel?
In the garden. In your garden, from your garden to theirs.
Okay, shall we?
Let's see our old friends once more.
Why not?
When you go ahead and make your move, you transport through the flowers, and the feeling is very strange. You feel like you're transporting, you can feel yourself pulled in through the petals like water. And you're pulled through this long root system that connects every flower in the world to one another. But you just go through the ones that connect this prismatic chrysanthemum to another. And so the root system is not very widespread. You can sense all the others around you, all these roses, millions and millions of these highways that connect each other through the world, through the verdant world. All these pathways, these tunnelways made by posies and lilies and things. And finally, yours is just this one little highway that goes all the way through. Mm-hmm. And when you emerge out through the other end of it, it's almost like your body grows like super fast, like a stop motion flower out of it. Comes into bloom out of this flower. And when you do come into bloom in there, you see yourself in this temple. Pillars down either side of the wall. Behind you, a bowl. And the wall full of hummingbirds. And it seems like there's a lot of black dahlias that are growing among it. There are 3 gnolls inside of this temple. They're looking at you like, what the hell is this that just happened? All 3 of them grab their weapons right away. They grab their spears and they're pointing them at you. Alta Teresa just kind of looks at you and smirks.
I look at them and speak in Gnollish.
Mm-hmm.
I see he's been busy.
They look back at you at Gnollish. Who's been busy? And who are you?
I am a dear friend of Rangmar.
I will fetch him. Don't move, they say. One of the gnolls looks at each other. Rangmar, you're at you've returned to the temple since then.
Okay, but I did fluff Cerberus's ears and everything, right?
You got a chance to fluff Cerberus's ears. You came back full of dripping with 3-headed dog spit and smelling like a charcoal briquette.
That's what we do. All right, just making sure. Got to make sure.
Hergranka and Erix are together over deeper in the temple, and when one of the gnolls comes to you, and it says to you, one of the gnolls looks at the 3 of you. He's kind of a little bit out of breath. He's holding a spear. He goes, Rangmar Hergranka, someone has appeared in your temple. out of nowhere. Just popped out of one of the flowers. He says he's a friend of yours.
I'm immediately going to know who that is. I mean, that's not even... Dude, I set that up like 15 episodes ago.
Right, I know.
Okay. So who's right next to me?
Hagranka, Eric's, and Stinky, a.k.a. Monty.
Okay. I'm going to charge down the hallway like it's a dangerous intruder.
Okay.
Just, like I'm out to kill somebody.
Rainmar, you do that, and the Knoll freaks out. He starts running after you top speed, too.
Where's Norik?
So does Eric's.
Eric has no idea what's going on, too.
Where's Norik at?
Norik, you haven't seen him yet. He's somewhere
I'm just charging, but I don't draw a weapon.
You come barreling through the door, Ultra Teresa and Agrias. You see Raymar come running through the door, top speed. Monty is on his heels. Monty is about waist high on him at this point. Okay,
bigger than last time you saw her.
Monty is a big friggin' girl. Her eyes are this hellish foxfire green. Her coat is this dark black. She's beautiful, but she's monstrous right now. Behind him, you can hear another one of the gnolls. You can hear this. You see a human come into the room in this kind of toga-like outfit with his helmet on. Both the gnoll and this human look like they're ready for anything. Raymar, what are you going to do when you see him? And you can go ahead and you can act as you would Agrias.
Well, I'm obviously unsurprised by this is the thing, so I can't... I just had to screw with somebody. So I walk up to Agrias.
You slow your pace down.
Yeah. Okay. I stop on a dime. Come on.
The other gnolls looked like they were going to get ready to run in and go in with you, Adam, for a second, but now they don't know what the hell to do.
No.
Eric, this is really confusing to you too.
I'm on the Myrmidon style, So I take the sword that's strapped on my back. I unstrap it. I pull the sword to the front. And I handed to Agrias, and I said, man, I got so tired of being you.
I take the sword back. What's happened, huh?
Then I give him a hug, and I tell everybody to settle down.
And that, for right now, is where we're going to end our episode. Everybody that got a chance to watch us tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. A lot happened once again. I got the guys back to Procon's Eye. We can begin that part of the adventure again. The group is starting to slowly begin to coalesce together again. So you'll begin to see us more and more on our main quest going forward. I have foreshadowed something huge that's about to happen that I expect maybe to happen in our next episode. Magnus Miller Wilson. You'll see how that is going to develop. That's specific for you. Matthew, your two apprentices are back, but I don't know if they're happy to see you right now. Patrick, you are now playing 3 characters in this game, generally speaking, but at the same time, that's going to peter down a little bit soon, as you'll see. Rainmar, you have gotten a lot of what you want to achieve done, but there's still so much more that you are going to do, and you have a big decision to make ahead of you, what you want to do going forward with your character, which we'll talk about offline quite a bit. And David, your character is the most, probably right now, you're the most settled of everybody. However, the portent that you had about what happened to your fallen comrades, there's a lot of consequence that comes with that, and we're going to see a little bit. Hey, thanks so much, Prometheus. We appreciate you joining and following us. That's kind of you to do that. You're going to see what's going to happen of that going forward, because that actually may bring you back into contact with some very old friends and enemies. And with that, everyone, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who watched this evening. I appreciate it. I know the guys do. And we're going to sign off for the evening. David Aho, one of our players, Jeremy Brazil, Patrick Hope, Matthew Lazinski, Magnus Miller-Wilson. Thank you guys so much for playing tonight, and tune in 2 weeks from now, and we're going to see really some... You think you've seen something crazy happen in the last few episodes? You ain't seen nothing yet. See you later, boys.